this is Roaming Millennial. Welcome back to my channel. You're watching the Weekly Rundown, and the story we're going to be talking about this week are the allegations that Disney is whitewashing its live-action remake of the movie Aladdin. Now, as soon as I heard about the hubbub people were making about this, I knew that I wanted to cover it because A, I am a huge Disney fan, even though I'm not particularly fond of their live-action remakes, and Aladdin wasn't really my favorite. I'm more of a Mulan person. I usually try to stay up to date with what's happening in the Disney sphere, and B, because the story involves an actress who is Eurasian like me, a few of you guys have been tagging me in the story on Twitter asking me for my thoughts. So about 7 years ago, Disney started remaking live-action versions of some of its classic animated films. The first movies they put out like this, Alice in Wonderland and Maleficent, weren't strictly remakes, but they definitely drew inspiration from old Disney films. Then those were followed with more true-to-source remakes of Cinderella, The Jungle Book, and Beauty and the Beast, and it was announced that the next remake project would be one of 1992's Aladdin. And seeing as how a live-action remake of Aladdin would of course have to involve, brown people, it wasn't long before issues surrounding race started popping up. In unconfirmed reports, and I do want to stress that these were unconfirmed, it was said that Disney was having trouble finding actors to play the leads in the movie. And then this in turn caused people to start freaking out, with people implying that with all the South Asian actors out there, the only possible reason that Disney could be having trouble with casting must probably be because of racism, right? Okay, so this is the first thing I want to address with this story. Disney movies are huge investments. The Beauty and the Beast movie that was released this year cost $160 million to make. Studios have a lot riding on these movies, so I think it's smart for them to be hesitant and choosy with who they cast. Not everything is about racism. Finding someone who's the right age, the right look, can sing, dance, and act, works well with the other actors and the director, that's a lot of requirements. Aladdin is one of Disney's most well-known movies. A lot of people have their eyes on this project. I don't think that unconfirmed, and again, unconfirmed reports of them having trouble casting actors is indicative of racism, or even close to enough to assume racism. The next issue that came up at this point was what ethnicity should these actors even be in the first place? The film Aladdin was based on the folktale Aladdin and the Magic Lamp. The collection it was from, 1001 Nights, is mainly a collection of Middle Eastern folktales. However, the story of Aladdin itself is actually thought to have Chinese roots, interestingly enough. In the film, the story takes place in the fictional city of Agrabah, which was based on Baghdad, Iraq. Apparently, the writers decided to change the name of the city because of the whole Gulf War that was going on at the time. Another piece of evidence that supports the idea that Aladdin takes place in the Middle East is the fact that there is a song in the movie called Arabian Nights. Now, of course, that all makes a lot of sense. However, in light of this whole casting fiasco, some people were actually arguing for Indian cast members. And this isn't exactly out of left field either. Some things about the 1992 film do point to Indian culture, like the fact that the royal family lives in a palace that looks an awful lot like the Taj Mahal, and the fact that Princess Jasmine has a tiger named Raja. And to add to the whole confusing ethnicity thing, although the name Aladdin is Arabic, the name Jasmine actually has Persian origins, and Persians, by the way, are not the same as Arabs. So yeah, honestly, in terms of culture, the movie Aladdin is pretty all over the place, and it's almost as if, I don't know, it was like some sort of made-up children's cartoon that takes place in a fantasy land not meant to be a historical documentary. But anyway, last week the lead actors for the movie were finally announced, and as is so often the case, the internet did not approve. Mina Massoud, an Egyptian-Canadian, was cast as Aladdin. And yeah, people actually seemed pretty happy with him. I mean, for what it's worth, I definitely approve. But then there's Jasmine, and oh boy, this is where people kind of lost it. The role was given to Naomi Scott, a biracial actress who is part Indian and part English. And despite being, in my opinion, a dead ringer for the character, cries of whitewashing abounded. Also, by the way, Will Smith was cast as Genie. Some people are upset that Naomi Scott is not an Arab actress, but like I said before, since the movie Aladdin is kind of an amalgamation of South Asian cultures, I don't think it's such a big deal that she's Indian instead of Arab. The argument is being made that by casting an Indian woman to play a supposedly Arab woman, Disney is saying that Arab women and Indian women look alike and are basically interchangeable. But I disagree with that entirely. Disney is not saying that Arab women look like Indian women or vice versa. Disney is simply saying that Naomi Scott looks like Jasmine, which is true. And then they're also saying that because Naomi Scott is biracial and half white, she isn't ethnic enough or brown enough to play Princess Jasmine. The thing with this is, and you guys can disagree with me if you want, just my personal opinion, but I'm not a huge fan of racial purity tests. I just don't think they're beneficial, nor do I think they should play a role in Disney films. Call me crazy. It's not like Naomi Scott is some blonde-haired, blue-eyed Swedish woman. I mean, that would obviously be a miscast, but she is racially South Asian. Complaining that someone isn't the right shade of brown is just as racist as complaining that someone isn't the right shade of white. But your Asian people at this point in time wouldn't have been a thing. It's not historically accurate. The movie has a genie and a magic carpet. It takes place in a fictional city. None of this is historically accurate, it's fantasy. And I'm sorry, but when it comes to social justice warriors, since when do they care about historical accuracy when it comes to casting different races? These are actually the type of people that would and have complained about there not being enough POCs in real period films. Films based on actual history. The Beauty and the Beast film that is supposed to take place in medieval France actually had a black guy running a bookshop. Now, if you know even the slightest bit about European history, I don't have to tell you why that wouldn't have been a thing. I, of course, don't care about that because, hey, it's a fantasy film, but you guys don't get to have it both ways. If it's okay to bend the rules of historical accuracy to sneak in a black person, it should be okay to bend the rules to sneak in a biracial person too. And in fact, I wrote a piece about exactly this on my website, but when it comes to biracial people like me, like Naomi Scott, social justice warriors will only be nice to us and only claim us as one of their own, a person of color, when it's beneficial to them. If it came out that Naomi Scott had been turned down for a role in a movie that took place in Victorian England because she was half Indian, these exact same people would be in an uproar. You know it's true, the fact that she wouldn't have been white enough would mean that these casting directors were racist. If race isn't specifically mentioned as a crucial part of a character, then honestly, I don't care what race they are. Now, this means that I wouldn't be against someone like Idris Elba who is black playing a traditionally white role like 007 because there's nothing about being a secret agent that means you have to be white. But likewise, and this is where SJWs will get mad, if race isn't central, I also don't care about whitewashing. Like with the Ghost in the Shell remake, people were mad that Scarlett Johansson was cast as the lead because she's white, but her character was a cyborg. Cyborgs don't have races. Seriously, I say unless race is actually mentioned by the writer and or is relevant to the plot, who cares? Directors should be able to pick whoever they think embodies the role best. And look, I don't know if Naomi Scott is gonna do a good job in this. I haven't seen any of her films. She was in Power Rangers, but I didn't watch that. Maybe she'll be good, maybe she'll be bad, but I'm not gonna complain about her casting choice because of her skin tone and racial purity, or rather, her lack thereof. And I think what most of us are forgetting in this is that at the end of the day, this movie is made for children. Children don't care about this type of thing. It's all adults that are complaining, projecting their biases onto this film. All kids are gonna see is a pretty dark-haired girl with a medium complexion playing Princess Jasmine, so who cares? And before I go, I would just like to mention that there's a new design available at my merch store. You guys can now get Don't Be Such a Crouton shirts, since I noticed a lot of you guys seem to like that line from my meme video. Also, TeePublic, the site that sells all of my merch and the merch of a lot of other creators here on YouTube. I'm pretty sure Shoe on Head also uses them. They're having a sale until this Sunday where all shirts are $14 instead of $20. It's not just my designs that are on sale, it's everybody's stuff. So if you're looking to get some cool shirts, mugs, laptop cases, or stickers, definitely check it out, the link is in the description. And that's it for this video, and I'm sorry that this week's rundown is shorter, but as anyone who follows me on Twitter knows, I've been sick this past week, and throughout filming this, it's kind of been a struggle keeping the mucus at bay, so I think I'm just gonna quit while I'm ahead. Thanks for watching, and a big thank you to my patrons who support this channel and make these videos possible. If you like this, please subscribe to see more. I post new videos every Monday and Thursday. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!